We're so done with new year, new you. This year, it's more you on Bumble. More of you shamelessly sending playlists, especially that one filled with show tunes. More of you finding Geminis because you know you always like them. More of you dating with intention because you know what you want. And you know what? We love that for you. Someone else will too. Be more you this year and find them on Bumble.
Hello and welcome. This is Hear Her Sports, the female athlete podcast for everyone who loves stories by and about women. I am your host, Elizabeth Emery. In each episode, I introduce a female athlete or a woman in the business of sport. I talk to women from all over and from lots of different sports. They share what they've learned from their sporting career, tips that you and I can use in our own training. Today, I am talking to Favor Anyanwu, a standout volleyball player at Southern Methodist University. I really enjoyed getting to know her. She is all around fantastic. She's also a great volleyball player. Favor's volleyball resume is packed with wins and awards and school records. She is an Under Armour All-American, USA Volleyball All-Star team member, Dallas Star News First Team and Middle Blocker of the Year, and American Volleyball Coaches Association Phenom Selection. And that's just to name a few. Favor talks about her experiences on the USA Under-19 World Championship team and what it took to win the gold medal despite being down by 2 in the matchup. You will also hear details of being part of USA Volleyball, transferring from USC to SMU after a semester, being tall, opportunities in sport, playing overseas, and volleyball today in the US. Plus, of course, tips for success. Because of where Favor is in her career, this episode is an amazing insight into being an elite athlete and a college student. Favor, as a young kid, with some reluctance, found her way into volleyball. She enjoyed dance and gymnastics and has done a variety of sports. She also has incredible results in the shot put and discus, but we don't get into that. You can find more about her results in the show notes. While you are there, sign up for the Hear Her Sports newsletter to stay on top of episodes and to read my thoughts about topics in women's sports. In the last newsletter, I wrote on the importance these days of finding joy and that playing a sport is one way to do that. Lately, I've also been gushing about our new supporter, Do Yoga With Me, which I still absolutely love. It is a website with lots of yoga classes. They have a very functional search tool, lots of teachers, lots of different links of classes and yoga styles. There are many free classes and many more classes that you can access through an annual membership. If you purchase a membership via our website, Hear Her Sports gets a portion of those sales. So check out their website from hearhersports.com/support. And now I want to introduce to you Favor Anyanwu. Well, hi, Favor. Thank you for being on Hear Her Sports. It is so great that you're here. I really appreciate you taking the time. I know that you're busy. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm actually not as busy as it would be, so I'm finally in like my first spring, so I definitely have a lot more free time than usual, so I'm really glad to be on here today.
Oh, good. I want to hear about that. And I actually would love to hear a little bit of an introduction because I know you just transferred, so I don't know really where you are and sort of what part of the season you are and where. Yeah, just tell me more.
Oh, yes. Okay, so I'm a USC transfer. I just transferred to SMU this semester. I'm spending my first spring semester here. I recently was just in the fall at USC. And right now we're getting into like our reps and stuff in the gym. Like we're now getting used to each other as a team, and then we're starting school. So right now I've just been adjusting, and like I feel like it's a lot easier being that I have like one semester under my belt. So this transition has definitely been a lot smoother, and then being that I'm like closer to home, it's definitely was a lot easier to like get adjusted to being at SMU and stuff. So for sure.
Yeah, what was the decision-making process involved in wanting to transfer?
For originally like committing to USC, we were all young, like 17, 16, really. And we made our decisions to go to school really young. And I feel like the way I was looking at school, I feel like I was focusing on things that wouldn't help me get better in the volleyball aspect. I definitely was looking as like the networking aspect of like outside of volleyball, but I feel like going to that program, I feel like I definitely wanted more for myself. So I was like, in order for me to grow and be able to be on the path that I want to outside of like going further with volleyball, I feel like I definitely need to be pushed and part of a program that would want me to succeed in volleyball as well as off the court as well, but would help me in my volleyball journey. So I definitely feel like I wanted to grow in that more. And then, especially with SMU, we do have a lot of good connections here with opportunities outside of volleyball too. So that was definitely something that intrigued me. Definitely was being able to just grow myself on and off the court. And I just knew that these coaches were really invested as me as much as was in myself. So that really like set the stone for me and made me choose SMU for sure.
What particular about the volleyball program is exciting for you at SMU? Like, what was the big draw?
So definitely seeing that they had these two middle transfers come in, like their grad transfers, and seeing how they both went to pro teams within like 1 year. And I guess you could say those were middles that I guess people didn't think that they would be on their radar, but I guess Trent is definitely such a good middles coach. And just seeing how he developed them in over a year and then being able to say that I have like 3 more years with him, I'm definitely more excited to just see what potential I can bring out of myself and then what potential he can bring out of me. So I'm definitely excited about that.
It seems brave to me to transfer out of a college after one semester. I mean, like making that decision
hmm
seems so permanent.
Yeah.
What was it like going through
It
that
was,
process?
oh my goodness. It was definitely one of the most difficult and stressful times of my life actually.
Oh, wow.
Cause you finish the tournament and then you're back or we're back at school. I'm in California. And I entered the portal. I was by myself because like I'm still in California and some of my roommates already got to like go home because they didn't have finals. So I had finals like very late. Like my last final was the 18th and I was already committed by then. So I went through the whole process of like entering the portal, transferring, and then picking another school and then going on a visit within having to study for finals and then move my stuff out as well from all the way from California. So it was definitely a rough time. And I feel like definitely entering the portal, it was a scary decision and it was a very hard decision to make, being that I was only there for some semester and just how it's so public and everybody is kind of inserted everything and everyone knows about everything and what's going on. So it's just like I just focused. I knew like what was better for myself rather than how other people viewed it, and I knew the truth and I knew what I wanted for myself. So it was definitely a decision that had to be made. But I'm glad I made it.
Yeah, I forgot that it is so public like that. That's
hmm
interesting. Mhm. And so you started at SMU in January. Is that correct?
Yes, I did.
So how's it going? What's it like?
It's going great. I definitely do love it here. I love this program. I love the culture they're instilling in us, and I just feel like we have a special group with us, being that a good majority of us are transfers, and then we're like either really young or like really old. Yeah, it's just like we have like a bunch of grad transfers, or we have like first year freshmen or like one sophomore.
Right.
So
Okay.
I definitely feel that would bring a lot of like fresh. I feel like it's gonna bring a lot of different viewpoints to our team. We all come from like different backgrounds. Even one of our grad transfers, she did go to USC for like 1 year and ended up transferring to Colorado State. So I definitely feel like our stories kind of align. She's from California and as well as one other libero that we got. So despite us being so different with our stories, I feel like we all really connect on a good level, and I feel like we bring good team culture because we came from programs where we wanted what we're doing right now. So I feel like we're even more grateful and showing more gratitude to be in this position that we're in right now. So I definitely feel like that just brings the team culture up times 1,000 for sure.
When you were introducing where you were, you mentioned that you're in the gym. Tell me more about what you're doing in the weight room. And how much of that is
hmm
like how much time do you spend in the weight room?
I think it's about we spend an hour each day, but then one when we have one day off, so that's about like 4 hours, and
You're
then four.
spending every day at the gym.
Yeah, every day. And then one
Wow.
day off. We have every day besides
Wow.
one day we get off, and then the weekend is off as well.
Wow.
Yeah, so I would definitely say I'm like really excited to work with our strength coach, Anthony Cockrell. He's the real deal. Like he definitely has his proof in the pudding, and he can back up the things that he says, and you can see what he says in the flesh, like what he does and what he preaches about. You can see the improvements that it brings to yourself within not even 2 weeks, but I trained with him a week earlier before officially like starting team workouts and then team practices and stuff, or like open gyms. So being able to have that 1 week with him, it really opened my eyes into what this program was going to be like, and I was like fully excited because I love being in the gym, especially specifically lifting and stuff. So I was really excited that he was like the real deal, and then he knows what he's talking about. So I'm really excited to work with him.
What improvements have you seen?
I see from how like comfortable I am being explosive off one foot. I feel like I definitely wanted to gain more strength in my single leg explosiveness. And then especially with body control and uh his like body awareness that he likes us to implement, because the best athletes are always aware of their bodies and what their bodies are doing. So I love how he implements that into the workouts, and he cares a lot about the little things. He's very intricate with the stuff that he tells us to do and implement into what we do and how it can translate into the court. So I just trust that what he's doing is definitely gonna help, and I've seen it so far being in these open gyms. So I'm excited about that.
Do you have a favorite exercise that you're doing with him?
I think my favorite, it would either have to be to the isometric like lower like for 4 seconds, the front squat. I like that a lot. Even though I like the pull ups too, but I'm gonna get better at those before I can say that I like.
I'm working on that too.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, so do you do just like regular squats, regular, front squats or back squats?
No. So he likes us to do isometric ones. It's where you do like about a 4 second lower all the way down full depth, full range of motion, and then you bring it up as fast as you can. And the reason he does that is so like it strengthens you in the most hardest part with jumping. So the easiest part is like going up, like pushing up, but like going down, being able to control every position that you're in, going down is really gonna help. What helps bring out the best jumps in people.
And I assume that you have weight on that rack.
Yes, for sure. I got to.
Are you gonna reveal how much is on that rack? Like, what are you lifting?
Last time from front squat with the lowers, before we finished that 2 week session period that we do with our workouts, I did 55 on each side.
That's a lot. Yeah, especially going all the way down.
Yeah, like you go all the way down, and it's like you have to go slow all the way down, so you have to control that weight. So it's definitely harder than people think, but once you get it, it gets better for sure.
Yeah. So I assume that you're not on the court right now because you're spending so much time in the gym.
No, we are also on the court. We're doing some open gyms as well with the team, so
Oh,
we've
okay.
definitely been on the court together.
Great. What was the difference between high school and college? Like, was it as you expected, and how was it different?
Um, it was a big difference. I mean, you never really know until you get there. I would say it was different in the aspect of like the load,
For
for
sure.
sure,
Yeah.
that you're it's like this is basically your job. You're trying to perform for a school, so definitely the load, and then just the how much you how it's like very demanding. You have to perform, whether or not you're on and off the court, yeah, and then you have to also balance being a college student as well. So it was definitely difficult in the aspect of like every day, you're constantly competing for your spot. And it's a very competitive environment, because you usually, when like top recruits usually come from, being the best where you used to be. And then you come to college and you're like, everyone else here is like good or was the best where they used to be. So then you're constantly trying to build your rep as like the hard worker, or like, oh, that person you can count on to score a point, or like the best blocker or whatever. So it's just like having to like prove yourself all over again, even from all aspects, like being on time, being a leader, having servantship, and all that type of stuff. So it was definitely different in how it calls you to be a better person all around rather than just an athlete.
How are you managing all of the practice and school? That always seems like such a big,
Yeah,
I don't know, that
for
seems like a
sure.
big change to me.
hmm I would say I'm definitely doing a better job this semester balancing it. I mean, we're not in season, so it's definitely a lot easier and less stressful. And I don't have to miss as much class as I did, or miss class at all, as much as I did like when we were in season. So been a lot easier being able to balance it in the spring. And I've gotten adjusted to it quicker after having, one semester under my belt. So I definitely feel like my transition is going a lot smoother this semester.
So you will miss class for volleyball
Oh
when you
no.
travel? Oh,
Oh,
okay.
in the fall, yes. In the
In the
fall,
fall,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's just an assumption that you guys will miss class.
Yes, we do. No, it's a fact that you will.
That seems rough.
I know.
To keep and
Exactly.
yeah. And you have a heavy load because you have a difficult uh major, don't you?
Yes, I'm
Aren't
a
you?
biological sciences major, so
Yeah.
it's very hands-on. So having to leave, it was like, okay, how am I gonna catch up with missing labs and like all that? So it was definitely something I had to adjust to.
Do you have, I don't know, advisors or mentors or something like that are sort of helping you figure out how to manage all that?
Definitely. We have our academic advisors, and then we have our student like athlete advisors for our separate teams. So you have like two people that you can go to whether you have concerns about what you're doing, and when one is more hands-on and like checks in on you, and then you can text her, and then she's there for whenever. Her name is Elena, and she's set for our team, and then as well as like men's basketball, but it's more specific to what she does. So it's more like she's like hovering over us. She's like our mentor that like, is by like over our shoulder, that, when you need something, then you're the person that you go to her for sure. And then she responds like right away. So having those type of mentors, it's definitely easy to know that you're supported in like your school and like what you're doing. And like, even if you're like, you can get off track or something, or you need like some motivation to put you back on the track, they're definitely good to go to. Elena for sure, as well as Ricky.
You're just new to SMU. Like, what challenges are you imagining that are going to happen in the fall when competition starts?
hmm Yeah, I feel like it would definitely be easier in how that we adjust to like traveling, because being that most of our games will be on the East Coast rather than in my previous school, we were in the Big Ten, and we would have to travel trips got it a lot longer and further. So I
Oh,
feel like,
interesting. Okay.
yeah, because the Big Ten, it was like all over. We would have to go from, we were like all the way in the West Coast, and some of our games would be in the East Coast. Here, I feel like we're closer, and then like the one game I feel that we have that's like far is Cal. So it won't be too bad to adjust with our travel schedule to school. And I just feel like since SMU is such a studious institution, I feel like this of schoolwork will get harder for sure. And just how it will be like balancing, I feel like would be the hardest part for sure.
This just occurred to me. Do you feel like you're starting again and it's like a reset and you're able to, I don't know, correct any things that you wanted to correct the first semester? Or does it feel like a continuation?
Um, I feel like a reset, one for sure. But I also feel a sense of like continuation, like that comes with being a college student. It's just continuous like with the schoolwork and stuff, and like being at school. But I feel like the starting fresh comes from being with a new team, a new program.
Have you been able to take advantage of NIL? Are you doing anything with that?
Yes, I just signed with an NIL agent, and then here at SMU, I am part of the Boulevard Collective. So hopefully that brings some cool stuff when we enter the season as well.
Mhm. Great. Well, I do want to talk about your early days because you ended up in a really, I don't know, it seems like a unique program at Texas Advantage Volleyball. But first, how did you find volleyball?
Oh wow. So it started in middle school. Basketball was my main sport up until 8th grade, actually. But I was very interested in dance and gymnastics. So we had like a dance and gymnastics program at the school that I went to. But I ended up getting not getting cut, but it was just they advised me it would be better for me to play like actual like sport, like actual like ball sport rather than do dance because I guess said I was like too tall to do dance.
I
So
was
it's
gonna,
like
yeah,
yeah, so I was like,
uh,
okay, I get it. Even though I was crushed at first because I
I
love dance,
bet.
I love gymnastics. Then I was like, okay, I'll just join the athletics program. Ended up joining, did all the sports like basketball, volleyball, and track. But we got to the end of our 7th grade volleyball tournament, like for the school districts, and then my mom, she had this club coach come up to her, and he was like, "Is she in club? Like, she definitely should be in club. I feel like she should focus on more volleyball because I feel like she's gonna be too short for basketball, you know." So I was just like, my mom was like, "Oh yeah, we'll definitely be interested in that." So we went to go try out some spots, and I had a good friend that was on my middle school volleyball team that played at TAV. So she introduced me into to TAV, and they so happened to have like one middle spot open. So I was like, okay, I'll try out, but I don't think it's gonna be for me. So so I went to go try out. I had Johnny and Corinne were my first club coaches, and after the first practice, I wanted to quit. I was like, these girls are so good. Keep in mind, they've probably been playing volleyball since they were how old? Like 5, 7, however old, like really young. And then I'm just coming in like fresh 12-year old off the basketball court trying to get the groove of volleyball. So it was definitely something that my mom had to do some convincing for me to go back to, but I'm glad I stayed ever since.
I'm impressed actually with your gymnastics coach or whoever it was that said, like obviously they saw some potential in you and didn't just, like cut you or something and say goodbye, but they encouraged you to continue being athletic. I think
Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah, for sure. I'm thankful for that, even though I was sad at the time. I am thankful,
I
very,
bet you were,
very
yeah.
thankful.
Like, what did you think of your height since you were being not cut, but whatever, encouraged to do something else from this sport that you really like so much?
Yeah, so definitely, like elementary school and then like 6th grade, I was like definitely like, dang, I'm taller than everyone. Like I stand out. Oh my gosh, like I can't be discreet about nothing. Everyone can see me like my height. Like I can't hide that. So I was definitely kind of like, not insecure about it, but just very self-conscious about it. So I was just like, I'm like very tall, taller than everyone, like even the guys and stuff. So it was just be like, ah, dang, like, I'm very conscious about myself. I feel like I started to grow into loving it during 7th grade and 8th grade after getting introduced. I had some other tall friends, so that made me feel comfortable in middle school. But once like joining like my club team and stuff, I didn't realize, oh, like there aren't more tall girls in the world and stuff. So it definitely brought more exposure into being more accepting about my height for sure.
Right. Well, I'm
And I'm
very
proud
jealous. I wish I were tall.
of- How tall are you?
5'4".
Oh wow, really? I would have
Yes.
never guessed that. I don't know why I don't get those vibes.
Oh, well, that's good. And how tall are you?
I'm 6'2", 6'3", really.
See? Yeah. Anyway, jealous. So how did you end up on the U.S. national team, the U19 team?
Oh wow. Um, that experience was amazing. It was in the summer, I believe, or like maybe a couple months prior, like in the spring, I think, where like they sent out the email to say that you got invited to try out for the U19 team.
And it just came out of the blue.
Yeah, it just came out of the
Oh,
blue.
wow. That's
I
amazing.
was working with USA Volleyball. They had these like NTDP programs, which is National Training and Development Programs, which is basically where they invite like hundreds of girls to just, train and just get in the pipeline of like being able to be coached by coaches who are involved with USA. So I definitely feel like that's what brought this exposure out to be recognized to try out for the U19 team. But after receiving that invitation, I was definitely super excited. Like I couldn't believe it. It was such a blessing to receive that. And then tryouts were in July actually. So we like tried out for a week, and the location of the World Championships was going to be in Croatia. So like if you made the team, you were going overseas to go compete. And it was like such a like hard experience to wrap my head around. I was just like, wow, like no way, like if you make this team and they only select 12 people, then you get to travel overseas. And then we had like 19 people at our tryouts. So it was just like you're really close with these group of girls, and then so basically what happens is they fly you out to the Colorado USA Olympic training place that they have in Colorado Springs, and then you try out for about a week. You're training like twice a day, and then meanwhile you're building connections with these girls, but you're also competing against them as well, trying to secure a spot on the roster. And then they finally reveal the roster on the last day, and then you don't know whether you make it or not, but until then, but you just have to be prepared to you have to bring enough close to say that if you would make it, then you would have to travel with them, or if you didn't, then they would fly you back home or drive you back home. So it was such a cool experience getting to like make the roster. It was really cool.
And then you did very well
Yes,
in
so we ended
Croatia.
up yeah. So it was yeah, so we ended up winning the world championships in a reverse sweep actually versus Turkey, and it was really cool getting to play against like different countries and their cultures and their style of volleyball. It was such a ethereal like experience to see volleyball around the world and like girls doing the same thing you're doing and your age mates, and it was just really cool. And we were able to connect with some of the teams outside of the court and stuff, and they were really fun and very nice people, so I was really glad about that.
You mentioned the reverse sweep. Do you remember during that match, like what happened to create the switch and allowed the US team to come back from being 2 sets behind?
So when I hear this story from Jamie, he was our head coach. I was just like, "Oh, really? I was sounding like that." I was just in the mode, like I was just ready to go. So Jamie, how he tells the story to me is, we lost the first set, and then we lost the second set. Then going into the third set, I was talking to the team, and he says that I was just so adamant that we're winning in five, we're winning this next set. I had no doubt in my mind that we were going to win this next set because I knew that even though we were the youngest group there and we were the ones with the less experience with each other, I knew that our connections off the court would bring us to win any hurdle that we faced at this tournament. So we only trained for a week compared to these teams that have been playing with each other since they were so young. And a lot of them were like 18, 19, and we were all like probably 16, 17. So I was just so adamant that we were gonna win, and he was just like, "Yeah." And then he was just like, "Yeah, we are gonna win," and he believed it himself. So it was just really cool getting to be in such a fired up environment, and just being able to like talk with each other and then get through that obstacle. And it was very rewarding at the end. And you can see like if you play back the video, like we're all crying, and it was just so fun to like be able to go through that with each other. I feel like, and we're all like really close off the court as well. Like we've all been doing NTDP with each other. So like we did U19, we're all very familiar with each other and we had connections with each other. And post that, like we've seen each other at like maybe the UA games and been like teammates before and played against each other in clubs. So we were just such a close knit group, and our connections were like amazing.
What a memory.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I'm like thinking back to it right now. It's like so surreal.
You tell the story of the U19 gold medal. Where do you get that confidence? Where does that come from? How do you maintain it?
Definitely, it comes from just the confidence that I had, like during that championship or during that whole time period, I had confidence in my work that I put in, my preparation before putting in. When I got that first invitation, I was just like, oh, like it's time to like, fully grind. Like I was over the summer before we had a report in July, like I was going in, getting reps, asking coaches if they had open gyms, even some of my teammates, even if actually if they like their high schools were having open gyms and getting some reps in with some of my club teammates, even though we were in season still. It was just like I knew that I prepared enough and I was supposed to be where I am and I just fully took it full throttle and being that it was my first experience, I was like, I don't want to go home with any regrets. So I was just like wearing everything on my sleeve and just, kept my head high through everything and just knew that I prepared myself enough to be here. So we deserve to be here despite what people might say about, oh, Team USA, like, or just like how we were a young group of girls. I definitely feel like we carried that well and took that with confidence for sure.
It's great. And you've moved on to the U21 U.S. national team, correct?
Yes, I did. Hmm.
Yeah. And so what does that involve?
U21, it was definitely a lot different being that it was a lot of older girls. I was the only class of 2024 that made the roster. So it was either like 25s or 23s. And I was just like, dang, like this experience is like a lot different. It was like a lot more mature and a lot more growth within like how like people how we like carry ourselves and handle things for sure. So it was definitely different compared to my U19 experience that I had. And we did the same process where we trained for a week and then they released the roster and then we went to go compete in Canada for like the continental like championships and stuff.
One of the things that you wrote to me offline before we spoke was that your focus is on improving yourself in volleyball and off the court.
Mhm.
And that's clear in our conversation here that you really enjoy getting better and better and better.
I definitely do. I just cuz I feel like I know that with me there's never ever like a cap of how like good you can get. I feel like I look at every day as an opportunity to get better no matter what cuz there is no roof on how good you can get, especially in this sport of volleyball. Your ceiling could keep on rising and rising and rising. So I definitely feel like that what motivates me every day to just improve in whatever way I can. Because even if 1% or 0.5% better, you're still getting better at the end of the day. And if you just put all effort into it, then there's no telling what you can't do, for sure.
So, talking about the future, are you thinking about pro volleyball?
Definitely. I'm very excited and hopeful to play pro volleyball, by God's grace. I feel like I definitely do want to play overseas. My first maybe 1 or 2 seasons, just to get that feel. And I feel like USA has really opened that to me. 'Cause, like it opened my eyes to that and how like pro volleyball is around like the world. So I definitely do have interest in playing overseas for sure for like first few years, and then coming back to the US and finishing here.
Do you have a country in mind?
I really like the Italy girls, the Italy team. And then I would say, yeah, I would say Italy for sure. Italy or Turkey.
Italy would be my choice. They have good
Yeah.
food.
I know, right?
And what is the landscape of volleyball in America, pro volleyball?
Oh wow. It's definitely growing and developing very fast. We're looking to have like a fourth pro team by 2026. Even though I personally am happy about the growth of pro volleyball, I feel like I want it to be, I'd rather it be one league that can expand as much as possible than, these separate leagues that we have. Because every team, every like, sport here has like their own, National Hockey League, like whether it's the NBA, WNBA, or NHL or MLB. I feel like pro volleyball would expand more in the US if we had just one league rather than, three leagues and then coming four in the next year. So
Yeah, there's a
that's
lot
my
going
take
on.
on it. I know. That's my take on it like I definitely feel like it would be better with one league.
It's so interesting as women's sports grow how I don't know how that happens and how people come in and want to develop different leagues and get involved and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you. It should be one league, but
Yes.
we'll see.
Yeah.
But you also have big ambitions in your non-volleyball career. You want to go into dentistry. That's awesome.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's like post volleyball.
Yes, that's post volleyball. I guess definitely dental school will have to wait.
Yeah.
So I'll just have to focus on volleyball for the meantime. Because I mean, you can't play volleyball forever, but you can be a dentist for a pretty long time. So I
Yes.
wanna take as much opportunity as I can to play volleyball as long as I can.
That's awesome. Well, since we mentioned food with Italy, are you good at fueling or, like, do you cook yourself? What's it like at
Mhm.
school?
Mhm. I love cooking. Um, when I was in season, I didn't really get to cook as much. They mostly provided our meals for us here. But now that I'm in the spring here, I definitely like either go home and cook with my mom or I just cook in my own place. But they provide us with a lot of food. Like they give us meals before our workouts and then after our workouts, and then we have the athlete dining hall. So, and then our locker room is constantly stacked up with food and fueling options to grab from. So, there's not a day where we are not fueled at all. So, they definitely do take pride in that.
What's your favorite meal to make? Favorite recipe?
My favorite meal to make, I would have to say when non-traditional, that's not Nigerian, I would have to say steak and mashed potatoes.
Mm.
But with my mom, any type of vegetable soup or stew that we make, chicken stew for sure.
Well, before we sign off, do you have any tips you'd like to share?
Yes, for sure. Definitely don't play into what society wants you to be. I definitely feel like you know yourself in this day and age with social media is so prevalent and influences people on how they think they should view themselves or how they think they should be. I feel like everyone should just stay true to themselves and then you would not have a worry about what other people view about you or how others portray you on society. So I definitely think that if you just stay true to yourself and just confident in what you believe in and stand strong 10 toes behind yourself, then I feel like you could do anything that you put your mind to for sure. And I just feel like that within this day and age, having that is very rare. So I feel like people should definitely play into that and just be 10 toes behind themselves. So that's what I would say for sure.
You have to tell me what 10 toes behind yourself means.
10 toes behind yourselves means being confident and standing in your own decision and not whether other people and not your people's decision or what they think decision you should make. Being confident in yourself and backing yourself 1000% despite what others say. I feel like that's what 10 toes behind yourself means to me.
I think that's so hard. I mean, it's easy to say, but as you mentioned, with social media sort of pulling you this way and that, I think it's hard to
Yeah.
know actually where you stand.
Mhm. And I feel like that comes from a lot of people's maybe their outtake on the world and stuff, which plays in the fact like how easily they are to like get persuaded into viewing certain things a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that comes with what was instilled within you in your upbringing and stuff. But as for me, it was definitely being confident in what you believe in and what beliefs you have. So I guess for me, I could say it's not easy, but there are definitely some things that can make you be persuaded and make you maybe second guess yourself. But I feel like if you just try to stay true to yourself as much as possible, then I feel like people would be more comfortable with the decisions they make.
Do you have ways that you check in with yourself to sort of say, okay, what do I believe in, or things like that?
hmm Whether that's praying or I do journal a lot. So I do like to journal my thoughts and my days or when I'm going through rough times where I feel like I need to just have an outlet to just be able to just express myself and be able to read over what I just said. Like I do take journaling, like whether it's like every night and I put on my essential oil diffuser, play some music and just journal. And I definitely really feels like it gives me a great way to like reflect and analyze how I'm thinking rather than just, maybe just like talking, I get to like read back on what I've said and like what I was thinking maybe that certain day. So I can have a tracker like what I did this certain day, how I was thinking that certain day, how I was feeling that certain day, and then compare it to like maybe another situation to be able to like break it down individually so I can have a good track of what, goes on.
That's great. Wow. Super smart. That's a lot of work.
Yeah. But I guess it's easier now that like I don't have to like write, because it was definitely harder in high school, and you would have to write your essays or
Yeah.
like not have to type them or stuff. So now I'm like I kind of miss writing, instead of like typing on like computers and phones and tablets.
Yeah. Well, I think it's interesting that you do all that work, because I think sometimes, from the outside, it can look, oh, she has everything together, like it just comes
Mhm.
naturally to her, and where in fact you're doing all this work every night.
Yeah, that's definitely with social media. You never see the background or
Right.
the what goes behind the scenes. So it's easily to be like, oh, dang, compare yourself. Be like, dang, that came so easily. Or you never see like the true hard work behind it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it has been absolutely wonderful to talk to you. Thank you so much for sharing everything. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really blessed to be on this and just giving me the platform to be able to just, have talks with you about things and, express myself. So I'm very happy and grateful for you having me on here, Elizabeth.
Well, totally my pleasure. Thank you. That was a great one. I can't wait to follow Favor's career, and I'm willing to take some bets that she'll get to the Olympics one day. Connecting with my amazing guests is always such a privilege. I feel very lucky. Thank you, Favor, for being so kind and generous and fun to talk to. It was such a pleasure getting to know a young athlete. For listeners, be sure to share this episode with everybody you know, but especially young girls in your life who I think will really enjoy being introduced to Favor and her way of thinking. Hear Her Sports has a new affiliate partner, Do Yoga With Me. If you're a newsletter subscriber, you already know I'm a super fan of Do Yoga With Me, and I've been doing yoga regularly since discovering the website. If you are looking for yoga you can do at home, I 100% recommend it. To find out more about all of their classes, go to hearhersports.com/support. It's always a little weird and difficult working with affiliate partners as a podcast because you are listening and there's no link to click. So later you go to your phone or your computer and you can just as easily go directly to the Do Yoga With Me website, and no one will know you heard about the site right here. But if you would like to support Hear Her Sports podcast and everything that we do, I certainly would appreciate it if you access the Do Yoga With Me website from Hear Her Sports. There's also a link in the show notes page for this episode for Do Yoga With Me. That's it for this week. Thank you for joining me and Favor Anyanwu. Keep strength training and keep playing your sport. I'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.
Are you ready to dive into the thrilling world of paddle tennis? Join me, your host, Minter Dial, on the Joy of Paddle podcast, where we serve up exclusive stories from pro players, industry insiders, and passionate enthusiasts. From valuable tips to hilarious anecdotes, we're bringing you the best of paddle twice a month. Whether you're a seasoned player or new to the sport, there's something for everyone on the Joy of Paddle. Subscribe now and join the paddle revolution.